Thanks for meeting with me today, Peter. Now, will you talk about what you did before you got into dealing painkillers?
Yeah, well, for years I was peddling crack on the steps of the 7-Eleven in Everett, Washington. Had a few car thefts here and there. You know, basic shit, nothing too crazy.
And how did you get started dealing painkillers?
I linked up with some folks in Southern California in the summer of 2008. They had started a drug ring under the front of a clinic, Lake Medical, they called it. Basically, some street guys found this old physician lady and started prescribing thousands of pills and then taking the scripts to this shady pharmacy down there in LA along with other legitimate pharmacies in the area. And then from there, the pills were sent to the black market distributors like myself across the country.
And who were these prescriptions being written out to?
Homeless people.
Seriously?
Yeah, they literally took a van down to Skid Row. If you don't know, Skid Row is a stretch in downtown LA that is full of the homeless junkies. It's real bad, and they just rounded them up and they put them in a van and took them to Lake Medical, and they gave them examinations, and then the physician there wrote them scripts, and then they took the scripts and put them back on the vans and took them to the pharmacies and filled the prescriptions and then took the pills.
And these pharmacies, they never caught on?
Oh, of course they did. Some pharmacists even emailed Purdue, who were the makers of Oxycontin. Purdue was aware that shit like this was happening across the country. They had put together a list of physicians and pharmacists that they had suspicion of doing shady shit like this. And I think at one point that list had about 1,800 names on it.
And what did Purdue do?
They didn't do jack shit. I mean, there's a federal law that drug makers have to alert the DEA to suspicious activity, and the drug manufacturers and pharmacies are supposed to reject orders that they suspect are going to the black market, but it doesn't really work that way. A lawyer for Purdue said, in that quote, "It would be irresponsible to direct every single anecdotal and often unconfirmed claim of potential misprescribing to these organizations." Basically, Purdue thought it would be irresponsible to alert the DEA of every instance of suspected pharmaceutical fraud because it could potentially interfere with patients getting their medicine. And Purdue ended up only reporting 8% of these individuals and businesses to the DEA out of the hundreds, close to 2,000 that they suspected of being involved in suspicious activity.
Wow.
Yeah, it took 2 years for the DEA to eventually catch on to what Lake Medical was doing, and by that time they had put about 1.1 million Oxycontin pills on the streets, and these are high-strength Oxycontin pills, and they're going all over the country, including to me in Everett. And in the end, the Lake Medical ring was brought down by a team of state, federal, and local investigators who collected tips from citizens and spent hours staking out the clinic, interviewing witnesses, and gathering testimony from informants. The physician of Lake Medical got 20 months, and they gave me 8 years. The prosecutor in my case in Washington told me at sentencing that half the crimes in the country were linked to Oxycontin.
Thanks for your time today, Peter.
Thank you.
If you need an opioid to manage your chronic pain, you may be so constipated. It feels like everyone can go, except you. Tried many things, still struggling to find relief? You may have opioid-induced constipation, OIC. It's different and may need a different approach. Opioids block pain signals, but can also block activity in the bowel, which is why it can feel like your opioid pain med is slowing your insides to a crawl. Longing for a change? Have the conversation with your doctor about OIC and ask about prescription treatment options. Made on behalf of those living with chronic pain and struggling with OIC.
Hello, I am Dr. Maximus Kramer, CEO of Feel Good Pharmaceuticals. I have 25 years of experience in research and development. I have made breakthrough studies in the field of alternatives to prescription opioids. In a government-funded study, Feel Good Pharma has shown there is a promise in a new compound that has the pain-relieving effects of products like Oxycontin or Percocet, but without the high potential for addiction or the wealth of other negative effects. This medication, known as BU8028, is able to both relieve pain and minimize addictive reaction in those who take it, because it was designed to interact with two different kinds of brain receptors. These brain receptors are the mu-opioid peptide receptor, also known as MOP, and the nociceptin orphanin FQ peptide receptor, known as NOP. Feel Good Pharma has tested this medication on rhesus monkeys, and the team is optimistic about observing similar results in humans because of the similarities in physiological response to stimulation. During testing, we found that BU8028 doesn't seem to slow breathing, disrupt the cardiovascular system, or cause addiction, which are side effects common to opioids. What's more, BU8028 did not cause such effects even at 10 to 30 times the dose needed to relieve pain. Feel Good Pharmaceuticals is developing another drug in this category called PZM21. It's in the beginning stages of being tested on mice. The pain-relieving effects lasted substantially longer than drugs like morphine, and it resulted in less respiratory depression and constipation than conventional opioids. It also causes less activation of the brain's reward system, indicating it might be less addictive. I should stress that these are still in the testing phases, and the results have not been confirmed yet. The reason why this is important work is because we want to ensure that doctors are prescribing ethically. The current environment in healthcare has a lot of gaps in that some cases enable addiction. We want doctors to be able to prescribe ethically to their patients who are experiencing and living with real pain. Instead, doctors have quotas placed on them, which causes a rising pressure to continue to prescribe these drugs that we know have negative side effects. Doctors shouldn't be the puppets of the big pharmaceutical industry. Instead, both sides of treatment should work together to produce a more healthful alternative. I'm glad to see services like the Advanced EPCS gaining traction in the industry. The software is from Advanced MD, from Feel Good Pharma's Analytics Division. It links prescription details to patients' history across multiple health providers in order to ensure that doctors are prescribing appropriate doses. So far, 14,000 pharmacies across 44 states have joined the services. We believe that Feel Good Pharma is addressing the largest gap in pain treatment. Innovation is the future of this industry and will work to ensure that doctors can prescribe the medicine their patient needs with a clear conscience. Thank you.